on to the Filters tab, and this allows you to decide upon which segment of the business to report. I can either filter a report for a combination of one or more classes, names, accounts, and so forth. So for example, I can filter by account, and I can then choose the type of account or specific account from the drop-down list. I can also filter by class. This is very handy if I wish to see the business unit contribution for a certain department, for example, sales and marketing. The Header and Footer tab allows you to customize and personalize the appearance of a report beyond what QuickBooks has in its report defaults. Therefore, you can change the title, add a subtitle, page numbers, footer information, alignment, reported basis, date and time prepared, and so on. So for example, in the report title, I may want to change this to 2012, My Construction Company, Profit and Loss. I can type it in here, and that will then be changed on my main report. Finally, fonts and numbers allows you to change how an individual report is displayed compared to the report default. So for example, if you look at my screen, I select Change Font, and I can then amend the font to how I want it. When I click on OK, you'll then see that those modifications have been amended for me. There are also a number of other options of how you can customize the report. For example, you may decide that this column is too wide or too narrow. Therefore, we have a small diamond here. If you click on this, you can then drag these diamonds, and this amends the column as well. I can also change the column order by dragging the column headers to move them. Let me go into another report to demonstrate this. I'm going to go into Reports, Company and Financial, and I'm going to select Profit and Loss Detailed. What I can do here is I can change the column order. If I place the mouse pointer over one of the columns, you will notice that a hand will appear. When I see this, this allows me to drag that column and reposition into the new desired location. Another great thing is that once you've properly customized your report, you can then memorize it. This saves all the customizations that I've done, but also allows me to use that report over and over with my customizations intact. To do this, you would simply change the date and run the report again. We'll cover how to memorize reports in a little bit, but for now, I wanted to just get you thinking about how you can save time by customizing your reports once and then saving them for future use. Let's now have a look at our next function, which is QuickBooks Zoom. Quick Zoom basically gives you the ability to drill down from a balance on a report or area on a graph to find details or ultimately the originating transaction. This is not a new feature in QuickBooks, but it is one of the best loved. The drill down function is accessed by double-clicking on a balance in the report. As you can see on my screen, when placing the mouse pointer over the balance in the report, the pointer turns into a magnifying glass with a Z inside it. This indicates that quick zoom is possible. If I double-click, it will bring up the transactions which make up that transaction amount, and I can then double-click again until the original transaction is then reached for me. Our next section, which we're going to have a look at, is to expand and collapse reports. Many reports can be expanded for more detail or collapsed to be grouped for more summary reporting. At the top of the report, you'll see there'll either be a button that says either expand or collapse. I'm going to demonstrate collapse first. As you can see on my screen, this report is as detailed as possible. By selecting collapse, it will take that detail away. Likewise, if a report is as summarised as it can be, I can press expand and it will then add more detail for me. Our next section is looking at how to memorise reports. I mentioned this earlier in the webinar, and I'm now going to demonstrate actually how to do it. There are over 135 preset reports that come with QuickBooks Premier 2012 and over 100 in QuickBooks Pro. They can be run as is or modified to suit each user's individual preferences and requirements. Modifications might be as simple as changing the date range, or they might be more specific. Once the modifications have been made, the report can be memorised so that each time it is run, it is refreshed with up-to-date data. That way, there is no need to make the same report modifications over and over every time new data has been entered into the QuickBooks company data file. In addition, memorised report groups can be created so that multiple reports may be produced at the press of a button. I'm now going to demonstrate this for you with a report for customers and receivables. Therefore, to access this, I select Reports, Customers and Receivables, and I'm then going to select A/R Aging Summary. Now, once the report has been modified to my liking, with the report open, I'm going to memorise it. I do this by select the Memorise button. What I can then do is the following window will open, and as you can see, I can choose the default name for the report to be memorised or change the name. So, for example, I'm going to amend this, and I'm going to put in here Sarah's preferred format. You may also want to put a check in the box which says Save and Memorise Report Group, and what I can do is actually choose a group of where I want this report to be memorised. And I'm going to select My Reports, and I can then click on OK. Now, you may be in a situation where you want a specific user to have their own memorised reports. Therefore, I would open the list of memorised reports by selecting Reports, Memorise Reports, and then Memorise Report List. The Memorise Report list will then open with the existing group names and individual report names within each group. As you can see, my previous A/R Aging Summary, Sarah's Preferred Format report, has been listed here under My Reports bar. What I'm now going to do is, as the report's now open, with the existing group names and individual report names within each group, I'm now going to add in a new group. So for this, I'd select Memorise Report, select New Group, and I would then give that new group a name. For example, Sarah's Reports. I would then select OK. It is then possible to go back to an already opened report you wish to memorise and assign it to the new group. Alternatively, if the report has already been memorised, I can right-click on that report and choose Edit Memorise Report. What I can then do is edit the report name, but as you can see, I can also change the group where I want this report to be part of. I've chosen Sarah's Report, select OK, and you'll see that report has then been moved for me. I'm now going to have a look at how to process multiple reports. This is very simple to run, and several reports from the Memorise Report list at the same time. So to complete this, once again, I would go to Reports. I would then process multiple reports, and as you see on my screen in the window that appears next, I would then select all the reports that I wish to run at the same time. And I can do this by selecting and checking the reports from the All Reports window.